to our lower level art gallery. This gallery is where we showcase a lot of work from residents and artists in our community and at Plymouth Place. This summer we were lucky enough to be able to showcase the work of Colette Sturmer, who is one of our Plymouth Place residents living on the 4th floor. Colette has a wide array of artwork that spans many different artistic styles. She uses different techniques including oil painting, batik, and even painting on furniture. She will be talking with us a little bit about her artistic process and some stories about the artwork that she's created.
My father was really very encouraging for me to be an artist. When I was a little girl, 4 or 5 years old, I was given a little paint set, watercolor paint set, a little thing that had 6 colors on it, and you dip your brush in water and you paint. I did a little painting on a little piece of paper, and he loved it, and he carried it in his wallet the rest of his life. And this painting was one of my early ones. When I was at the Art Institute, I was going for a degree in fine arts, but I knew that I was never going to be able to support myself and earn a living by painting, by selling paintings. So after the first year all the students have to take the same classes. Figure painting, no, not figure painting, figure drawing, and then some painting, but not with oils, with tempera. And what was the other one? Design, which also included learning to mix colors. It's one of the hardest colors to mix is a pure gray. You take black and you put some white, and then you see that it sort of has vacation bluish, whatever. And it's hard to do it. But so I really didn't take many courses in painting. After the first year, I majored in interior design, and I wanted to do not residential design, but commercial design. And later on, when we moved to the Washington area, I got a job with a firm that did just that, offices and restaurants and waiting rooms. And I liked it because I didn't have to deal so much with the personality of the person who was going to live with it. Yeah, I had some bad experiences one time because the designer is at the mercy of the man who and the women who do the work, who execute it. And I remember one time I had a couple I was working with, and I told them that everything would be done in 2 months. 2 months they had hardly gotten started. And they got very angry with me, and I thought, I don't need this. So that's why commercial interiors was much more business-like. It wasn't so much question of personality. And I find birds are a wonderful subject because they're so unusual, and seeing them on the beach particularly, that they're so graceful, and I think they inspire me to do them. I've done a lot of birds, just like the chair are the egrets. The egrets on Kiowa Island, South Carolina, just inhabit this island, and at night they would come and roost in a lagoon that was very near our house, and there'd be hundreds of them there. And my husband and I tried to take pictures of them, but there was not enough light because the sun had gone down. And so I thought, well, I'll capture them with by painting them. This is sort of an abstract of a peacock. I didn't put the whole bird in there. But the interesting thing was when I was painting it, I thought I was finished with it. My husband said, aren't you going to put in the head of the peacock so we'll know? And so it was his idea, and I think he had a good idea about it. Picture is of my youngest son. He was born in Korea, and at that time we had a lady, a nanny, that took care of him. She also did the cooking. She just was a wonderful person. And we were there for 5 years. And I think I broke her heart when I took him away back to the U.S. She wrote me a letter saying that she had dreams about him. Yeah. When I do her face, I just sort of decided that I liked to have it not too detailed because the attention should have been on him. I mean, this was a portrait of my son, not necessarily Miss You. But she was about, I think, 40 years old, and her husband had been taken away by the Japanese. And she never saw him again after they took him away. And this was inspired by a trip to New Mexico. And we went there for 1 week. And it was at the time that the Indians who live in that area, in pueblos, have their market. They call it the Indian market. And we drove from Santa Fe to Taos on a back road and came across this pueblo. And I admit that I didn't paint it right there and then. I took a picture of it. And after I came back. But we found out while we were there that Santa Fe has more art galleries than any other city in the United States except for New York. And they have a road called Canyon Road, and it's just one gallery after another. And it inspired me. I thought, I gotta go home and paint. And this was the result. This is a chair that I bought at the same auction that I bought the very first chair over here. And I gave it to my daughter-in-law because she needed a chair, and she didn't want it. She returned it to me. She gave it back to me. It wasn't painted at the time. It was just a black chair. And so I was inspired to do this from a Japanese fabric. And I don't know whether say it's clouds or waves or what, but it's the colors that I think are the important part of it. When we lived in Washington, D.C., actually we didn't live in Washington, we lived on the Virginia side. I found out that the city of Alexandria had a place called the Torpedo Factory where a lot of artists had their studios. And they also put on a show every month, a juried show, and the artists could display their work. And they also gave lessons, art lessons. And one evening I'd gone to Alexandria to go to my class. It was in the evening. When I got there was nobody there. And I thought, well, I brought my canvas, I brought my paints. I might as well stay and do some painting, and I did. And that's what came out of that experience. And this painting was something based on some drawings I had done when I was at the Art Institute. And when I was looking for a subject to do, I found that it wasn't in color, it was just a sketch. And it's sort of a fantasy thing. It doesn't represent anything real except maybe the cat. My husband and I took a trip through Canada, and we went on a ferry, and that evening it was at sundown when the sun was going down. And as the ferry went to the island that we were headed for, I saw all these islands that were in the water. And, and with the sun going down, it was very, very pretty, and I took a picture as the boat was moving. And then much later on, several years later, I came across the pictures and I decided to do the 3 paintings. And this chair was inspired by a trip to Mexico. When we were in Mexico, I discovered that in the southern part of Mexico, there was a place where the native Mexicans did wood carvings. And there's a name for it, but I forget the name of they call it wood carvings. But it was fascinating, and I bought a couple of them. And then I found out later that the Smithsonian had done an exhibition of these carvings. And the men did the carving with sort of like a hatchet. And then the wives painted them in very bright colors. And that inspired this chair.
We're so thankful to have Colette here to talk about her artwork and the amazing stories behind what she's created. Thank you so much.